Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1998, and I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm going to be practicing playing through RCC's 2007 spree, which was transcribed by Glim. Thank you, Glim, for the sheets. Now, in all of these practice streams, I like to share the raw, unfiltered, here's what I'm doing to try and improve as a percussionist. There's over 450 of these prior streams of me practicing, with timestamps in the description showing what I was practicing or what I was talking about. I often get people who ask me questions about how to get better as a performer or how to get better as an educator. Because I've been playing for so long and because I've taught every grade kindergarten through doctoral student, I get a range of different questions. And I will often edit those questions, those responses to them, and put them in this drumming tips playlist. It's got over 15 hours of free drumming tips inside of here and over 100 videos. The first thing that I talk about is whatever the title is. For example, 3 different flam taps, 1 exercise. And then if it says and other drumming tips or and other teaching tips, that means there are more topics inside of there that might be of interest. So if you're like, I don't really care about flam taps, there might be some topics in there that are of interest to you. And again, there's over 100 videos inside of here to help you out, and over 2,000 play-alongs on my channel's home tab. Now, I need to get motivated because I've never played through this shopping spree. Just came out this morning on my channel. So Shia LaBeouf is here to motivate me, to encourage me to play some clean beats. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, wow. Everybody is so motivated now, thanks to the great sage, Shia LaBeouf. Thank you, Shia. Appreciate you stopping into the stream. All right. I mentioned over 2,000 free exercises on my YouTube channel's home tab. They're also found the first link at the top of every single one of the play-alongs, which takes you to here, jaredaleary.com/drum. There's 80 chop exercises. I'm going to be practicing in this section today. For example, this shopping spree playlist has 29 shopping sprees in it at the moment, so we'll get there in a second. There's over 1,000 grid variations. I highly recommend working on these to improve your rudiments. Focus on grid variation with the rudiment on 1, like flam drag on 1 for triplet or for 16th note. But there are over 1,000 variations, so if you're bored with the variations on 1, try it on 2 or on 3, or try it every 5 notes. They're in there. You'll find it. I've also got a bunch of limb-independent stuff. I was practicing this yesterday. Some difficult patterns in there. If you're curious, well, how do I develop limb independence? Every one of these playlists, whether it's the different timing permutations, the straight charts, the swung charts, all linked to this video, how to develop limb independence on the drum kit. It's the second video in there. There's almost 500 marching bass drum stuff. Focus on the timing exercises and then work on the splits timing and some of the other permutations and stuff in here. It'll help you out. There's some drumline cadences and score format if you're interested in that. There's almost 400 technique exercises. These are different playlists for different exercises. So if you want to work on your accent taps, check that one out. If you want to work on your flams, check that one out. Some of these have a ton of exercises in it, so it's not like it's a single exercise or anything to help you improve. And then finally, there's over 15 hours of drumming tips. These are the scripted videos where I'm like taking time to think through like what is the simplest way that I can introduce how to hold traditional grip or how to practice drums quietly or whatever. And then the drumming tips playlist that I mentioned earlier, this is the one that's got the over 15 hours of me responding to questions live on the stream, but I edit it down so that way it doesn't waste your time with me like pausing to think about what am I going to say next, etc. And then there's some goofy stuff like AI drumming if you're interested in that in the just for fun section. Now, I'm working on the shopping spree that just released this morning on the channel. So again, it's the RCC's 2007 shopping spree. We've also got Maury spree on there if you're interested in more RCC stuff. So if we scroll down past all of these other sprees right here, the one that just released this morning is this one, RCC 2007. For all of these shopping sprees, let me adjust the There we go. For all these shopping sprees, there are timestamps in the descriptions that allow you to jump to a specific BPM. And I'm going to start at 40 and go up one click at a time. We're going to play this 5 reps. And then we'll stretch or massage. Oops, it starts off the left. I'm going to start it off the right. Got to do it correctly. Now, it feels like the spree started with flam accents on the 3rd partial. Ghost notes. Oops. No! Oh, I messed up that too. I was like, all right, let's actually pause and talk through it. I screwed up. Okay, so starts off weird. Starts off the left hand. What? So just normal flam accents, just starting out the left. So cha-da-da, 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 cha-da-da. And then it gets goofy right away. So we have flam drag with an upbeat cheese. So cha-da-da-da, cha-da-da. And then right here, we have just like a diddle tap into a flam drag. And then left, right. Now think of this as like actually a downbeat right here, because you're playing flam accents starting right here. So cha-da-da, 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 cha-da-da. You're just playing 4 flam accents, but it happens to be on the 3rd partial. So it sounds like cha-da-da, 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 cha-da-da. But in terms of the context for the music with the downbeat, it's going 1, 2, cha-da-da, 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 cha-da-da. Okay? So it's a little weird there. So now this one, we have a flam drag with the 2nd note of the diddle accented. And then a Swiss drag, basically, into a 5-stroke. And then it does again off the right. Into a Swiss drag with a low left hand right here. So, okay. So diddle tap, Swiss drag, but it's a 5 instead of just a single drag. So it's like a Swiss 5, I guess. And then Swiss drag right here, but it's a low left hand on this. Okay. So then we've got a flam accent on the left hand. So this is kind of recentering yourself. And you're going into a ghost note where you are stopping the stick right before you hit. So a flam accent, but you stop the accent right before you hit. So you still hear the grace note sound. So it sounds like just straight up taps the entire time. And you're just stopping your stick right before you'd actually do the accent, okay? So you do 2 of those. So cha-da-da, cha-da-da, cha. And then we have this weird thing that was in, what Blue Devil spree was it? It was either 2003 or 2004, I forget. Been playing through too many sprees lately. So it's got this like Swiss putted thing. I don't know what that rudiment's called, but it's goofy. Okay, so then we have cha-da-da, cha-da-da. So just 2 left-hand cheeses, right? One after the other. Right here, paradiddle-diddle. But the left hand is accented. And then this note, you could try and strive for like the left hand staying up for both notes. But the way it was transcribed, it's just basically woo, leading into this right hand accent right here. Okay, right here we've got what is basically the outline of a book report. So a book report being that rhythm, but it doesn't have diddles on it. So it's doing the book report shell without the diddles with an extra left hand, which I think was in the 2004 shopping spree. Maybe it's 2003. Again, I'm blurring all these together for Blue Devils, which is heavily influenced by RCC and vice versa, because they have similar staff. So anyways, so 5-note grouping right here. You repeat it again, 5-note grouping right here. And then you're just going shot, tap, Okay, so this part, this one's weird. So we have ta tra da 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 cha cha da da cha. What's going on here? So we have right hand accent into a left hand cheese, but this ends with a right hand tap that then goes into a right hand diddle into a left hand accent into an upbeat 5-stroke da 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 into basically cheese cha-cha-cha. Okay, and then 2 cheese inverts. So cha-da-da, cha-da-da, cha-cha-da-da, So cheese invert, cha, cheese invert, cha, paradiddle, where you're just accenting the left, paradiddle, which goes into this like weird sticking thing right here. So we have what's basically like a Swiss without the flam. So, whoops, covering it up. So Swiss, pa-da-da, Swiss, pa-da-da, So keep making it click. Then we have low singles with an accent and a release. Da 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 da. So you just do it off the right, and you do it off the left. Right, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Da da. Swiss drag right here. Shut da da da. Into ba boo. And then you can either count like 1E and a 2E and a basically 2 groups of 16th notes, or you can think of it as pickup. But 1, 2, 3, for the release. Okay, so that's just like a very quick overview of what's going on here. So let's try this out, 41. And hopefully this time I remember all of those different things while reading through it. Stay tuned. Don't play like that. Ghost, ghost. I'm leaving off the rim shots, by the way. Sweet. Cool. So play it 3 more times, and then I'll stretch and massage, and then we'll start speeding this up like 3 clicks at a time, maybe. Off the left. A reminder is for myself. I like this spree. It's weird. It's unique. Like weird in a good way. Not in a bad way. Just to clarify. Oops. Drun? I don't know how to drun. Sorry. I'm not a drunner. Are you a drunner? Oops. Starts off the left. I'm so used to everything starting off the right. Oops. Keep messing up the sticking on this rep. Sweet. Let's stretch and massage. Got to keep the hands nice and healthy. First one I'm going to do stretches the sides of the forearms. Take your sticks, hold them in your palms facing up. Pull in, push through. It looks weird, but it feels great. Good morning, Jeffrey. How you doing today? And to get out of the stretch, just go back out the way that you came. Now, if you do traditional grip, rotate and hold to this end of the extreme, rotate and hold to the other end of the extreme. Hold each one of those for like 20 to 30 seconds. You can also do that if you do Stevens or other rotary motion grips. But I don't do those anymore, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could pull back like this. You could do it like I did 2 days ago, like this. Or you could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Don't put all your weight into it. Next, I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. So you could pull it back like this. It stretches up here. You could do it on your leg like I did yesterday in the stream. Or you could do this one on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. But again, don't put all your weight into it. Feels great. Now I'm going to stretch thumb to thumb. You doing good? Glad to hear that. So this is stretching each one of the fingers. So it's going twice as fast by just doing the same finger on the other finger on the other hand. Whoop. And next, ASMR. Oh, almost. It wants to, but it didn't. It wanted to. Brian, I don't know. I don't really practice the breaks. But I mean, yeah, whatever looks like fun to you. That's like the dessert for the practicing. So if anything that you're playing along looks like fun, then go for it. But one of the ways that you can practice that is you can find like recordings of lock clips, and then on YouTube, if you use this gear, you can slow it down. So you can be like, I want to play this at like 45% speed or 25% speed. So you can slide it to pick however fast you want to play it. Or be like, I want to play it faster than Boston. I want to play at 1.8 times speed, etc. So you can use that to play along to the lock clips, if that interests you. I'm personally more of a spree kind of person than a drum break kind of person, but you know, to each their own. Most of the people that I drummed with preferred to play shopping sprees rather than like show licks. One of the reasons is probably because there was less sharing of lock clips back when I was marching. And so we had to go with like the transcriptions and whatnot from the exercises. So if members of the drumline would share the transcriptions, then we'd be able to learn it. But, you know, that was back before YouTube, so the dark ages. when we rode on dinosaurs to school. Tired. Okay, now I'm going to massage the hands. So I'm going to do the thumb massage in the palm, fingers massage in the back side of the hand, just working my way around, trying to loosen everything up. And the last massage that I'll do is base the tip of each one of the fingers. So just wiggle your way through it at least twice, sometimes thrice. Depends on how your fingers are feeling. Just trying to get nice and relaxed. Like this middle finger feels a little tight. So I'll do it 3 times. Every day your hands are going to feel different. That's normal. Depends on what you've done the last couple of days. Ugh, so tired. I woke up like an hour and a half earlier than usual. My brain was just like, time to start your day, Jared. I was like, okay. Cool. So let's try this at 45. And then I'll start going up by like 3 or so for these. If I were trying to memorize this or like really refine it, I just let it go up by 1. Which is what I'd recommend for you as well. I do that on most of the streams, but today's just kind of like a preview. Start off the left, Jared. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Cold spray, right? I like it. Whoa. Let's go up a couple clips. Clicks, not clips. Content creator brain. Off the left. Woo! Go! Let's go faster. Faster than RCC played it. Yeah, definitely. 51 beats a minute. Whoa, they only played it at 50. Imagine. Off the left. Almost forgot. Kayla, good morning. How you doing today? The live can be tenors or snare. What do you mean? I don't know what the tenor part was for this one. Oh, you meant for the question above, the one about the sprees or the drum breaks? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because again, I don't really focus much on the drum breaks and whatnot. But have I played the Pulse 22 spree? No, I haven't. Is it available? Like, is it public domain, like free? Because like, if I get permission to put it up, like if it's for sale, I don't want to put it up because obviously copyright issues and whatnot. But yeah, if it's available, and like the instructors are like, yeah, you can make a play along for it. I'd love to make more play alongs. Wait. The ongoing part? I don't know actually what you're referring to. So Brian, sometimes the platforms will like block certain words and it doesn't show me when it blocks stuff. So yeah, I don't know what you're referring to. It might be a question that didn't show up on my end. But I don't know. It's free. It's a dense one. Is it like on their website? You think Vic Firth has a breakdown of it on YouTube? Oh, cool. Thank you for the like. Oops, I forgot to speed it up. We're going on up by like 3s or so. Keep forgetting that. Click. Cool. Do. Let me actually write down this. Write that down. I'll take a look at that, Edwards. Thank you for the suggestion. Always looking for. Did the message show above? The last message that I see is you meant by the ongoing part, and then it says message redacted. Or retracted. It's so far away I can't actually really see it. I'm guessing. So that's the last that I see. May have been like one of the restricted words, because I get a lot of like random harassment, so I just like block those words. And then it like sometimes doesn't show up as moderation. Oh, oops. Screws me up playing a complicated thing like this. Okay, so 65. Woo! How do you handle not making the line? Well, that's just kind of like, is what it's focusing on, like what can you control? And so for me, like the therapists that I've had over the years have kind of like helped me with that, like figuring out what is there something you can do about it. If so, cool, focus on doing something that you can improve that. If there's not something you can do about it, then it's outside of your control, and try and focus on the things that you can control. There are many opportunities in life that will be given to somebody else because of proximity or because of other things outside of your control. So maybe the person like knew the hiring manager or whatever, and so like they're friends, even though you're like more qualified. Well, they know that person, so they want to help them out. It's nothing against you, etc. Same thing for auditions. Things can happen. One of the things that I share for when I was teaching privately is like what I didn't realize when I auditioned to get into university is sometimes they don't even have a position available to get into the School of Music. So sometimes you will audition and you might be really good, but their studio is full or they don't have any scholarships available. So I happened to get into the percussion studio and get a full ride percussion performance scholarship because those two things happen to have openings for it. If they didn't have a scholarship available, I would have had to pay for my undergrad. If they didn't have room in the studio, I would have had to wait a year or go somewhere else. So same thing can be for drumline. Like, what if you have like 8 snare drummers and all of them come back as vets for the next year? Do you think you're going to be the 8th snare drummer and outdo somebody who's already proven that they can like hang on the drum line? Or do you think that they're going to add in a 9th snare, etc.? So there's a lot of moments in life when it comes to music or just life in general where things are going to be outside of your control. And as easy as like I'm making it sound, like you just got to try and focus on the things you can control and ignore the things that you can't control, because it's just a part of life. And if you can do something about it, cool. Like what you're asking about with like the connections for auditions, like maybe you can start getting lessons from the instructor, even if it's like once a month or once a quarter, etc. That way you can like build those connections. Like I have done that with like remote lessons with people where back in the day I used to send like a VHS of like myself playing through something, or like a DVD of myself playing through something, and then somebody would like mail me back like written feedback, and like that way I could like learn what am I supposed to like do to improve. But now you can do a lot of lessons over Zoom, so even if you're remotely at a distance from like somewhere where you're auditioning for, you can sign up and for lessons and do like remote lessons with them. Some other things that I've done is like shown up at rehearsals, like after rehearsals, and just like drummed with members of the drumline that I was going to be on. So when I was in high school, I used to go to the university that I was at and just like chop out with the snare line. And I even went to some of their rehearsals when I was in high school to just like like just practice with them. So like there's sectionals and stuff for the snare line, and I just like pad it out with them. And that was like a really good way to get my foot in the door and to kind of like learn, well, what are they looking for from the drum line, and what's the personalities like? Is this like a vibe that I want to stick around with, etc.? So like those are some things that you can do to kind of help yourself in the future down the road. But again, like sometimes things are outside of your control. I've got so many setbacks in life that like I've got this tattoo as a reminder to learn to play in the rain. So the idea of like when it starts to rain, learn how to flip the umbrella upside down, so that way you can learn how to like find the good in the negative. As many people would think that raining is bad and you don't want to be in the rain, but in this like strip, it's like, well, no, you can find some good things with that. There've been so many things in my life that you might consider to be bad, but have ended up working out really well for me in the long run. And same thing for you. So like the video that I talk about where I talk about how I went from center snare to end snare twice. So under the drumming lessons playlist, one of the stories that I tell, there's like 3 stories in this particular video, but one of the last ones that I talk about is like how I got into a car accident, and it made it so that I marched 5 years in drum corps, but I didn't get to march years 6 or 7 because of a knee injury from the car accident. And that was outside of my control, but it like opened up new pathways that I wasn't really considering with focusing on the education side of things. Same thing with like different career decisions, like other things. Like have a PhD in music education, but then I went and taught like computer science education because I didn't get some of the professorships that I had applied for. And I was like, well, let me go back into the classroom and try teaching a completely different subject area and see what I can learn and how I can approach it from an arts-based perspective, teaching coding, etc. And like that opened up a whole new career trajectory, which opened up other career trajectories, which led to me turning down a professorship in teaching computer science at the university level and instead doing YouTube. But the reason why I was able to do YouTube is because I learned all of these like skills that I developed at a nonprofit. Like there's many things that'll happen in life that like seem like it's a bad thing, but ends up like working out for you in the long run. So focus on what you can control, and then the things that are outside of your control, you can't really do much about. And life's not fair. So sometimes people who don't deserve like to get the manager position or to become center snare or whatever, like they get that stuff over people who do deserve it. And it's unfortunate. Oops. Cool. So that was at 65. So let's go faster. 68. Wow. Here we go. No. No. Hold on. All right. So I need to figure out, like, why do I keep messing this part up? Yeah, so it's that double. So that left into the left. So this one's interesting right here, where from this point on, the left hand stays up basically the entire time until right here. So interesting phrase. Thanks for sharing that. It means a lot. Hey, yeah, happy to help with it. Um, Not trying to like be negative or anything with it, but just like trying to be realistic with it's a part of life. Like I'll be vague with this because I don't know if there's legal ramifications for it, but I know of somebody um who was one class away from getting a degree in a field, and the professors are like, just so you know, I'm going to fail you no matter how good you do on this, because I don't think there should be more people like you in the field, and I'll just again keep it vague. And this person was like, well, that's not fair. I'm going to go to the dean to talk about this for the university. And the dean was like, actually, yeah, I agree with this professor. So, yeah, you're going to fail. You're not going to get this degree because we don't need more people like you to get this degree. So that person chose to just go a completely different career path because of that. Now, granted, they could have done some other things, but this was many years ago, decades ago. Legally speaking, they could have taken it up higher. They could have gone to other universities or whatever, but they chose to just leave. So like, and that's just one story that person has shared with me that I'm aware of, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in life that's not fair or unfortunate or just don't go as like planned. Most of my like 5-year plans don't work out. Something weird happens in life, heading in a new direction. It's normal. No! I clearly don't have this one memorized. It's rough. That people being honest about these types of topics. I wish more people were honest about these types of topics. There's too many people who paint like this like rosy picture of life that's unrealistic, and it sets expectations for people that I think does more harm than good, because it's like as soon as there's a setback in somebody's life, it's like, well, this person that I like is a role model for me or that I look up to, like they don't mention all the things that were setbacks for them. Like it was all rosy colored like glasses for them. So why is it that like I'm having all these struggles and whatnot in life? And it's not that like I think people should just like sit there and focus on it and dwell upon it and just like ruminate, but should acknowledge, especially if you are like a so-called influencer or content creator or whatever, like don't just share the wins, also share the setbacks. Like I've brought this up before, but if you go to /CB on my website, it like looks like super like, oh wow, everything just went great for Jared, like because I have a bachelor's, master's, PhD. I won like the highest award possible in the field. I've got like over a dozen publications, over 100 presentations, etc. But the thing that you don't see is that like it took me 2.5 years just to write the proposal for the dissertation, because it was just failure after failure after failure. Every single draft that I submit, the professors, because I had 2 co-chairs, were just like, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And like it took, I think 6 years to get this degree, when I have some friends who it took them like 2 years to get a PhD. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm working really hard, etc. So like you don't see that on here. You just see, wow, Jared got an award for like their dissertation. Yeah, and the dissertation was a massive struggle. And like I spent like Christmas mornings multiple years in a row, like or like typing out my dissertation, refining, editing, etc. Same thing with the publications. Like the number of failed drafts and like the failed edits and the failed proposals, etc., like isn't evident on here. So you don't see all of those setbacks that go into it. So if you're looking at this and you're comparing yourself and going like, well, I'll never be able to do that because it's just like win after win after win after win. Like, yeah, but the CV is designed to only show the wins. It doesn't show all the failures. And it's the same thing for what people share on like the different social platforms and whatnot. So if they're sharing stuff on YouTube or on Instagram, they're likely just sharing those wins, and they're not talking about all the failures in there. Like there are so many, like even presentations that like got accepted and that I did that I'm like, wow, that was not a good presentation. I did a bad job on that. Let me try and improve the next one. But on here, it like looks like everything was fantastic. And that goes with any area in life, like whether it's like work or school or relationships. Like I'm in a very happy, loving relationship with my wife, but every other relationship that led up to this was a failure in terms of like the overall, am I still together with that person? No. But did I learn a lot from being in that relationship? Most definitely. Has that positively impacted and influenced my current relationship? Of course. So like, do I regret having those prior failures? No. Like it all led to the success that I'm in right now, whether it's the relationship or the career or like whatever. All of those things, negative or positive, can have some kind of a lesson that you can learn and take forward and move forward with. And just understand that there will be more setbacks in life. Like the Buddhist idea of this too shall pass. Like if everything is great, well, things are gonna get worse, and then things are gonna get better, and then things are gonna get worse. Like it's just constantly a roller coaster in life, and that's normal. But that doesn't make it easy. Normal and easy are two very different things. How do you keep your passion for marching when it feels like hard work isn't always recognized? So that's a great question, but I didn't keep my passion for marching. So the video where I talk about like how I went from center snare to in snare twice, this one, that car accident that I got into that made it so that I marched during my 5th summer, that I got into that car accident that made it so I couldn't march year 6 or 7. And I was so wrapped up in what like being on drumline meant to me that it was like basically like my entire identity. Everything I did was focusing on improving for drumline, everything in life. So when I was no longer able to do that and it was cut short early and I didn't have that opportunity to like do the things I set out to do, the goals that I had been working on for years, like when I watched in 2007, when it was my age out year, and I watched like a drumline giving taps off the field and I was not on that field, like I broke down, like I wept, like I went into the parking lot and just cried because like I could not handle like everything I was working towards. I wasn't able to do it. It was 100% outside of my control. Some dude ran a red light and that had an impact on me because of a decision that they made, and it prevented me from doing the thing that I'd done everything I was supposed to do in terms of like getting better. And after that, I stopped like watching drum lines. I stopped watching lock clips. I stopped watching like going to shows. It was just too hard for me to have a passion for something that I felt like a loss toward because I wasn't able to complete what I had set out to do. And it was difficult for me. So if you look at like the CV, there's like a ebb and flow of like different topics and things that I've talked about for like the presentations. Like if you go all the way back to like 2013 and whatnot, compare that to more recent stuff, the topics are just like constantly changing, where I was focusing on like video games and music, and then I started focusing on like music and coding, and then I started focusing on like interest-driven learning and coding practices, etc. So like there's many things that I have shifted in and out of, and I've now come back to, and I'm focusing on like the drumming side of things because I miss it. So like when COVID happened and everything was shut down, I was like, I have a desire to like work with drum lines again, but I can't. And a coworker of mine at the time was like, well, you've created like a few hundred educational videos on like coding stuff. Why don't you just create content that is drumming related? So I started to do that. That's why I have like a couple thousand play alongs now and over 15 hours of like drumming tips, is because of that coworker who was like, well, you can't teach a drum line because they're not happening. You're not doing anything in person right now. So why don't you just teach remotely using the skills that you developed, like working at the nonprofit? And so I took the educational skills that I was like doing for the coding tutorials that were shared on YouTube, and then I started making these for drummers. And then the play-alongs was like, well, I know how to write music. I've been doing this, writing music since high school on like Finale and Sibelius, so let me create all these play-alongs. So again, like different setbacks in life can like lead to new opportunities that can have a profound impact on like what you end up doing. And that's normal. It's not always fun, but it is what it is. So long answer to basically say that like it fluctuates. So some days I'm like super motivated and some days I'm not. Some days I'm super passionate about it, some days I'm not. And that also goes into longer periods of life. Some periods of life I'm like super motivated and want to work on something, and then others I just shift to something else. And I can come back and forth between it. Once you start heading down one trajectory in life, you don't have to stick with that. I'm like living proof of that. And where I learned that was talking to like people who, there's a guy who was like a firefighter who then worked at NASA, who then worked at like an aviation place, who then like became a police officer, and like just kept changing careers every like 5-10 years. And I was like, wait, that's a thing you can do? what I had learned and what I had seen from like family members and whatnot is that like once you like head down that path, you are doing that thing forever. You can move up, but you're not allowed to move to a completely different field. And then just realizing if I instead follow my curiosity, I can constantly be motivated to like learn new things and do new things. That has kept me motivated to become a better educator, because like I finished all my coursework for a PhD and then was like happened to audit this course where you coded music and was like, when is this coding, when is this music, and when are the two inseparable? And I was like, I want to explore that, but I also want to apply all these things I've learned in the PhD coursework in a classroom context. So I started teaching computer science at a K-8 school, and I have 0 degrees in computer science. So I had to learn a ton of different programming languages and be able to teach them. And that was just guided by the question of like, when is it music, when is it coding, and when is it both? So it was like arts-based, interest-driven coding that I was teaching. And then that led to like more doors, etc. not the Lord of the Rings, but like more doors. More doors being opened up for me career-wise, where I started creating curricular content, and then started creating professional development content, and then started creating YouTube content, and then that's landed with like where I'm currently at. But I like 10 years ago, if I were to like predict what my career would look like, it would not be what I'm doing right now. And that goes for 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, etc. It's just constantly changing, which is like keeps it interesting. It keeps it fun. I like it. Some people that might cause anxiety, not knowing what you're going to do, but that's normal. Hello on the vertical. Anyways, let's play this again. Let's see if I can remember it. Oops. Let's try it again. Okay, so that was what, 74? I think. I messed up the stickings. It's a weird sticking. No! Man, I just feel like I'm not able to concentrate enough while playing through it. So I very much so don't have this memorized, so I'm like having to read through it, and I'm trying to read ahead while like going through it, and I just keep making mistakes. Wah, wah. Dang. Like, it's not like a hardness thing. Like, this isn't, like, I could play this way faster, but I don't have it memorized. And I keep, like, wait, what's the pattern coming up next? And the problem I'm running into is I'm also thinking about, like, what do I want to talk about? So one of the things that I didn't mention that you had asked about, Brian, was the lack of recognition and, like, the motivation to keep going. So I should elaborate on that. So one of the things that will happen with any career is that you will make efforts towards something, and this is even in like personal relationships or whatever, and that kind of effort that you're making will likely go unrecognized in that you're making efforts. People aren't realizing like the progress or the improvement that you're making on it, whether it's like your ability as a writer or your like willingness to like, I don't know, your ability to ask questions like while teaching, or I don't know, how fast you can play your flam drags, etc. And for me, what helped me to know that I was on the right path was two main things. One is seeing what other people did to get to where they were, which is where I wanted to be, and going, okay, well, this person is a really well respected professor, but when they started, they weren't great at it. What were the steps that they took to be able to get to that level that they're currently at, and how can I replicate that and take what other people have learned and apply that as well? So knowing that the first draft was not going to be the final draft of like any of those publications that I have, and going, okay, well, I can keep iterating on this. I can keep getting better. Like that helped out. So one is like having a good role models and people who are willing to share the steps that they took to get to where you want to be. But the second thing was, it was kind of like a snowball effect of reflecting on prior obstacles and how I overcame those obstacles in life, and going, I've done hard things before. I have made progress. I have gotten better. I have overcome prior obstacles. They might not be as difficult as the one that I'm doing right now, or they might be more difficult than the one I'm doing right now. But knowing that I have a long list of things that I have progressively improved upon or overcame or whatever, those are all things that you can also take into consideration for yourself. So if you don't have that long list of things, then focus on the first thing, which is, okay, I need to find people who are willing to share their successes in life and how they got to be at the level that I want to be at in whatever it is, whether, again, it's career or relationship or education or whatever. But the second one, eventually you'll get to a point where you can't find somebody else who is doing the thing that you want to do. And so you need to just be able to kind of have that intrinsic, internal drive where you can reflect back on your prior failures and the prior obstacles that you've overcame and learned from, and be able to use that to help propel you forward, because there will become a point when you get to a level where you're not able to find somebody who's at the level that you want to be at because you want to forge new ground, etc. And that's going to take like decades of like practice, iteration, etc., learning, and just that willingness to have that grit to like improve over time. So yeah, like right now, the biggest thing that I'm struggling with is like, as a content creator, this is like a new thing for me, and I'm not making anywhere near what I was as an educator, like below minimum wage in an entire day, what I would make in an hour if I like was flipping hamburgers. But knowing that long term, I can eventually with the kind of content that I create, get to the point where I like hopefully get that teacher salary again, at least with the things that I'm doing, but have a bigger impact than I would if I was just teaching in a classroom. But when I look at like how long it's taking me to even make just a couple dollars a day on YouTube, the thing that keeps me going is knowing, well, I've done difficult things in the past. I know that I can keep improving, keep iterating, keep trying to get better with this, and eventually I'll be able to do that. So that's like the current thing that I'm struggling with in terms of whether it's like the imposter syndrome or just feeling like I'm not making enough progress on things or whatever. And that's, again, coming from somebody who has like a long CV of prior accomplishments. I'm currently failing in my opinion on the things that I'm working toward. But I know that if I keep practicing, I keep getting better at it, then I can eventually over time get to a point where I feel like, okay, I've arrived, I've made it, I'm successful at this thing. And every few years I find like a new one of whatever that is with like myself that I try and push toward. I put myself in a scenario that is very difficult and it's going to require a lot of effort and sacrifice to be able to get better at that thing. And that for me is a motivating thing. And I don't know how I arrived at that being like a primary driver in my life, but I like that feeling of learning and growth and progress. That for me is very comforting. It's like a warm blanket when I know that I'm making progress on something, and I like that. Sorry I had to go through that. Yeah, it definitely was difficult not being able to do the drum corps stuff, but I mean, as with this tattoo, like got to learn how to play in the rain. If you can't do that, then life's going to be very difficult. Speaking of very difficult, this shopping spree is difficult for some different reasons. My brain is like, I'm too tired to like be able to basically sight read through this every single time at this speed. And I've gone a little bit over what I normally would like to do. And I have a hard cutoff for today. But I'm taking the next 4 days off from any kind of streaming. And I'll actually be back on Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, I'll be doing a drumming stream. And then whenever Silk Song comes out, I think it's like next Thursday or something, then I'll start the gaming streams again. But I'm working on a ton of projects like offline and hanging out with friends for the next like few days that they're in town. So no streams for the next few days, but there's still going to be a new play-along releasing every single morning for the next at least 400 days. And you can find that on my home tab of YouTube. This is where all the chop stuff is. So the RCC 2007 spree is inside of this shopping spree playlist, or in this one, which is just basically a catch-all for all of the chop stuff. There's over 1,000 grid variations. There's a bunch of limb independent stuff. There's marching bass drum exercises, some drumline cadences in score format. There's a few hundred technique exercises, and then here's where you can find the 15 plus hours of drumming tips and scripted drumming lessons and whatnot if those interest you. But I'm going to call it here. I'll be back on in a few days, and if you enjoy these resources, just share them with somebody else. And as always, if you don't enjoy these resources, share them with an enemy. So, goodbye.